Okay, this is my ranking of the top 10 Eagles songs in order. That's really hard to do. If you're like me, you're a great Eagles fan. I think the Eagles is one of those bands that's been on the radio so much and that we kind of almost, I don't want to say get sick of them, but we often forget how good they really were. Those songs get kind of burned in your brain. After a while, it's kind of hard to even judge them the same. You've heard them so much, you might think you don't like it, but it's really maybe just that you've heard it a million times. But this is my ranking of the top 10 Eagles songs in order. Number 10, I thought about this. There were so many that I could have put on there. And by the way, this tends to err on the side, it does err on the side of the classic 70s Eagles repertoire. I haven't listened to as much of the later stuff. I know they had some good albums. These songs are so good, though, and of their time. They capture what the Eagles were all about, that laid-back California 1970s kind of post-hippie vibe. And so I feel pretty confident in kind of focusing on this period, the classic Eagles period. Number 10, coming in at number 10 is Desperado from the 1973 album Desperado. You know, that's one of a couple songs I can think of that today is just practically ubiquitous. I mean, everybody knows it. I think of Dream On. Another one is actually Stairway to Heaven. Layla was like that. They weren't that popular. They were kind of album tracks at first. I remember hearing Desperado at my friend's house in the 70s. We were playing darts. I don't know, we might have been playing hooky or something for all I remember, but I just remember that's a really great song. And then it was a while after that I heard it again, but it was really well into the 70s before it became what everybody thinks of it today. And I even remember towards the end people singing it in church. I guess you could kind of construe it as a church song if you were pushing the envelope a little bit. But by the 80s it had become what it is today, which is a classic record, but it's a great song, obviously a piano-based song. Could have gone higher, but all these are great songs, but I did rank them. That's number 10. Number 9 is Take It Easy, another song we've heard so many times that it's it's kind of hard to judge it. Maybe it's better than number 9. Maybe there's a reason everybody's heard it so many times. It's a great song. Jackson Browne, Glenn Frey composition, if I'm not mistaken. It's on their debut album. What a great debut album. And I guess you kind of have to put yourself. It's hard to you can't. So a lot of you probably aren't even old enough to do it, but you can't go back and kind of unlive everything since 1972 when that album came out. But that was even kind of before Southern rock. That was country rock. And it kind of came out of that whole kind of Flying Burrito Brothers and, Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt and Graham Parsons. There were a lot of kind of the band, kind of country rock. And it's just great. And it's an iconic song. And we've all, and it's so pleasant. Even if we hadn't heard it a million times, it's so pleasant. Some people that, you're too sophisticated to like something that's that in the pocket, that, just that nice, just makes you feel that good. Well, there are people like that. You're probably a good person in other ways, but Take It Easy, it's a great song. Standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona, I think there's a statue there now in honor of that song. It's a classic song. Glenn Frey that was his number 8, Peaceful Easy Feeling, off that same album. Another great song we've all heard a million times. It's almost hard to go back and remember what a great song it is. You hear it every bar. Let's like Take It Easy, Desperado. Every bar band plays those. Like Turn the Page. Everybody plays that now. I remember when it was kind of a cool song that nobody knew. Bob Seger, and that's kind of like Peaceful Easy Feeling. If you go back to the early 70s, it's you realize how fresh and how distinct that sound was. It wasn't really country. It wasn't, and the image and even the sound wasn't really it wasn't straight country. It wasn't rock either. It was earthy, and it was a very American sound. and just a great definitive track, Peaceful Easy Feeling, and it deserves every million gazillion times it's been played on the radio. It deserves every single one of those times. It's a great song, and if we've all gotten sick of it by now, future generations hopefully will remember what a great song it is. Number 7 is one you might know and you might not, but it's always been one of my favorite Eagles songs. It's off One of These Nights, and it's a song called the Hollywood Waltz. I don't know if you've ever heard that song. It's just one of those great, it's kind of like Hotel California. It's got that, I don't want to say decadent, but maybe that's the word we need to use. It's kind of decadent, jet set decadence, but kind of world weary. The superficiality, but the beauty of the life, which is kind of the Hotel California theme, And if you haven't heard Hollywood Waltz, it's a short little song, kind of just an album track. I don't think it ever was played a lot, but it's a really beautiful song. And it's got that, I don't know, I think that probably Don Henley. When Henley started writing, he took it to like this Henry David Thoreau level, as far as I'm concerned. Just really beautiful, insightful lyrics into the human spirit. Really, I can't say enough good things about Don Henley's lyrics and the way he sings his lyrics. Number 6 is "Take It to the Limit." Great song. I believe Randy Meisner wrote that. Might have been his kind of swan song in a way, but I just remember listening to that. I had back in the days when people had stereos, I had a kind of a nice stereo receiver in my room, and I remember one night, for some reason, I just remember being in my room, kind of my parents were asleep, and I was a kid, and that song came on FM radio, WRIF. And, the light of the stereo was kind of glowing in the dark room, and that song came on, that beautiful song. And, of course, it was being played all the time on the radio, but it was new, and you hadn't heard it a million times. And what a great song, and what a great, just go for it, one more time, It's all you've got. You've got one shot at this life, do it again, Number 5, I bet a lot of people thought number 5 would be number 1, but I put Hotel California down. There's where maybe, Hotel California is a great song. It's like Freebird or Stairway to Heaven, but I put it number 5. Maybe it's because we've heard it so many times. People talk about it. The media gravitates to it whenever they want to talk about the Eagles. It's obviously a great song. I think I heard Don Henley say it's about a journey from innocence to not wisdom, but innocence to understanding of something about the world. And it was about L.A. I've never been to L.A., but when I listen to these Eagles songs, I feel like I've been to L.A., and that Hollywood, the kind of world, it's kind of that beautiful world that kind of sucks you in, but ultimately there's something missing there. And I heard Don Felder say one time that when you drove in from Los Angeles from the desert, you could see the lights of Los Angeles 100 miles away. And the beauty of the city, the beauty of the people. There are a lot of good-looking people, from what I understand, in Los Angeles. But I put it at number 5 just because there are some songs that I like better. Maybe it's just because I've heard them so many times. I'm a guitarist, by the way. You can see some of my guitar videos. Hotel California is a bugger to play, by the way. The soloing in it is great, but even just the song itself, kind of the singing part, unlike some of these other Eagles songs that kind of play themselves almost. It's got a capo, I think, on the 7th fret. It's got several guitars playing in different, the same key, but in different chord shapes. But it's a great song. I mean, obviously, there can be no doubt it's one of the great songs of the 1970s. But I put it at number 5 because there are some that I decided to rank higher. So number 4 is One of These Nights. I think One of These Nights, which I don't seem to hear as much anymore. Maybe that's because there's no radio and it's all streaming, and I don't know. You're not kind of force fed things the way. But One of These Nights is a really great song, and it's got that kind of R&B feel. It's a very professional, polished song, and I think it shows that the Eagles weren't just kind of campfire songs, with good singing and a nice lead kind of going along. They could play R&B and really polished studio music, and that One of These Nights is just a great song. The vocals, the songwriting, and it's a different kind of songwriting. It's a very commercial song, but it's a very well done song. And of course, it's got that killer diller, super duper Don Felder guitar solo. I don't know what the story is with Don Felder, Glenn Frey, of course, R.I.P., and Don Henley. I guess I can kind of see both sides of that, But one thing you can never take away from Don Felder is some of these guitar licks he laid down. And I think he kind of came in on a couple songs on the Border, which was before the One of These Nights albums. And then on One of These Nights, which came out, I believe, in 1975, he had become a full-fledged member of the band and just really, really changed their sound in a great way. He didn't change, he added to the sound and added another dimension to the band. And One of These Nights is a great, one of the great songs of FM music, Number 3, now maybe, I picked the Hotel California was number 5. A couple of my top ones are ones that I love so much that I think are such high quality. They're maybe not ones you hear as much. I feel like the Eagles, you've probably heard them, but they weren't the huge, Sweet Caroline level, sing-alongs that some of these other ones are. But number 3 for me was Try and Love Again off Hotel California. That to me is, I've got another one from Hotel California coming up here, but Try and Love Again is just a masterpiece. Everything about that song, the words, there's such a humanity in all their songs, but these that kind of, being hurt, trying again, it just captures something about humans and love and, getting back up, and it's a great song, and the guitar playing in it is just wonderful. Just wonderful guitar playing in Try and Love Again. So I put it at 3. I think it's one of the best songs the Eagles ever did, which automatically means it's one of the great songs of the 1970s. Number 2, Lying Eyes. Lying Eyes is one of those songs we have heard a million times. Everybody can sing not only the chorus. If you go in any bar or or wherever, you sing Lying Eyes, everybody knows the chorus, and about half the people probably can sing all the verses. So it kind of falls into that category like Take It Easy or Peaceful Easy Feeling. It's just become part of the American songbook. We all know it. But you know what? That's a testimony to what a great song it is. It's a perfect song. It's a story. I was told that they were the record companies and the business people in the suits wanted them to cut a few verses. It was long, and they kind of refused. But it tells that story. It doesn't ever drag for 1 second. It's got a super tasteful guitar part in it. There's no big flashy solo, but if you just that to me epitomizes the genius of the Eagles. Every note on that is just to a T, and it's so well done. And it's in that sense, it's not an easy song. It's an easy, maybe it's an easy song if you compare it to Yes, Close to the Edge, or Emerson, Lake and Palmer or something. But you know what? In a way, it's not easier. I don't think it's easier. You get a bunch of guys or people in a room, and you try to make them play Lying Eyes that perfect with the harmonies and the feeling and the dynamics and the that nice lead part that's just impeccable. Do simple things well. That's one of the been my mottos. Because sometimes doing something simple isn't so simple. To really do it right. And Lion Eyes is just a fantastic song, and it's like some of these others. It deserves every little bit of overplay that it's gotten on the radio, and I hope it continues to be overplayed. I hope when we're all dead and sick of it, another generation can get sick of it. It's that great of a song. Number one. Now, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I think I would push back. The best song the Eagles ever did. My number one, "The Last Resort" off Hotel California. What a great song about the American dream. Again, it's kind of that California moving, from Providence and Rhode Island, but kind of, which is sort of anywhere USA, and moving to and the American dream. And there's nothing wrong with the American dream. I have it too, and but it sort of takes you through in a sort of impressionistic way the history of this country. The beautiful history of this country, but the sort of bittersweet undertone of the history of this country. It's just a fantastic song, "The Last Resort," and the performance of it by Don Henley on vocals is just unreal. It's in the harmonies. I could have put Seven Bridges Road down, and I guess if I had put that down, it would be mostly because of that harmony intro, which is amazing. But the Eagles had unbelievable harmony. I know a guy that actually used to live next door to the Eagles in Malibu, and he said you could hear them practice, and they would practice over and over and over. And he said, he told me Don Henley, I don't want to say because I don't know, maybe Don Henley won't even watch this, I don't know, but what he said was Don Henley was, I'll put it politely, difficult, hard to get to know, or, you can take, find other words. But I'll tell you something else. He was a perfectionist, and he and Glenn Frey, and they were the alpha dogs in that band. That's what I was going to say something about the Don Felder situation. Don Henley and Glenn Frey made that band. They took that band, which had good players, but their genius for songwriting and their perfectionism made that band superior than all the other good country rock bands. You just kind of, that jam, that played great, but they took it to that level. And my friend said he could just hear them singing those harmonies over, and they worked on those harmonies just day in and day out. I think they were maybe doing some other things, but to keep practice from getting too boring. But you can talk about their partying, back then, but they worked their asses off to do these songs. And there was one final thing I wanted to say about the Eagles. Someone said to me once, and I thought about it, you've got to have good songs. And he used the Eagles as an example. And I think there are other bands we could all think of, like the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac's another one. There are a lot of bands that play well, right? He used the example of Poco, and I like Poco. It's not a knock on Poco. And Poco, in fact, Poco even drew on Eagles members, and I think they kind of cross-pollinated some with, Timothy Schmidt on bass. But the difference between Poco and the Eagles wasn't necessarily that the Eagles had, guitar players that were twice as fast, or, less, more professional studio musicians or something. The difference was the quality of their songs and the humanity in those lyrics. And it's not just one song, it's song after song after song. And that's, over time, what makes a band like the Eagles. There were a lot of good bands, I remember a lot of good bands that kind of played like that. Another one was Firefall. I don't know if you Firefall, I saw them. They were a terrific band, and they had good songs. There were a lot of bands like that. But over time, it's like the Beatles. Look at the Beatles. You had the Dave Clark Five. There are a lot of good bands, kind of look like the Beatles, the British Invasion, Herman's Hermits. They were often, they weren't as good as the Beatles, but I mean, they were You know, they looked, they dressed the part, and, they played their instruments, or, if they didn't in the studio, then they could at least show up on a stage. They had, good people in the studio playing their songs. But what the Beatles had and what the Eagles had was great songwriting, and it came from the heart. It came from an authentic place, a genuine place, and it came from a sense of literature. Great music is a branch of literature when you have good lyrics, and those songs that I just talked about are poetry. Particularly some of those, like those Henley songs, "The Last Resort." Those are just fantastic literary masterpieces, as far as I'm concerned. They are just excellent, and when you have good songs like that, there are a lot of bands around that play well. And that, I don't want to go on too long, but that's also the Don Felder situation. I think the world of Don Felder's guitar playing. I watch YouTube clips of him on, this show and that show all the time. I have a lot of respect for the guy. But you know what he doesn't have that Don Henley and Glenn Frey have? All those songs. And I think what happened was the band kind of became iconic. The songwriting was what was propelling it, and those two guys were the songwriters. They weren't the Eagles. The Eagles were a unit. I get that when Don Felder and some of the others say that Frey and Henley took everything over, but you know what Frey and Henley had that you almost can't, it's a gift from God or nature or whatever, but they had that sense of connection with the song and with words, and the ability to put together great songs like that. And you can have the greatest players in the world, but you've got to have good songs, and that's why bands like the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac's like that. Look, Fleetwood Mac was a good band. When you had Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks come in there, along with Christine McVie, who's also a great songwriter, but when you had the song quality elevated, and all of a sudden, boom, you had all these great songs on really just a few albums, but just song after song of great songwriting. And, in other ways, maybe the band wasn't that different, I mean, Lindsey Buckingham's a great guitar player, but they'd had good guitar players, but it was the quality of those songs. And that's not a knock against, Bob Welch or Peter Green or the other earlier. In some ways, those were cool bands and did some cool things that were, were as good or better than maybe the classic lineup of Fleetwood Mac. But if you're looking for the stuff that's going to stand the test of time, it's the songwriting, and that's what the Eagles had. They had awesome songwriting, a repertoire, as they used to say. And you go see them. I've never seen them in concert, unfortunately, but it's not one or two good songs. I mean, it's just everything. Song after song. Song of great songs that get you. And they're performed so well. They're performed to a T. Some people say they perform too meticulously. I guess sometimes some people would like a little, but there's great songs. They're performed so well, and so that's my top 10 list. I'll read it one more time here. Number 10, Desperado. Number 9, Take It Easy. Number 8, Peaceful Easy Feeling. Number 7, Hollywood Waltz. Number 6, Take It to the Limit. Number 5, Hotel California. Number 4, One of These Nights. Number 3, Try and Love Again. And I mean, most of you have heard that, but if you haven't, definitely listen to it. It's just a masterpiece. 2, Lying Eyes. Deserves the iconic popular status it has. And number 1, The Last Resort. God bless you. Subscribe to this channel. I have 0 subscribers, but I'm going to be doing some commentaries. I have some guitar videos on here, and some of my original songs are kind of just put up there to store them too, which you get a chance to listen to them. But I'm going to be doing some other commentaries, reviews, and so on. So God bless you. Top 10 Eagles songs. A great band, and it's the songwriting that elevated them above all the other good bands of that period, which was a great period of music, heyday of the guitar, There's so many, I mean, there were so many great bands back then, but it's the quality of the songs, and that's what, you know, Stephen Foster, Irving Berlin, you know, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Lennon and McCartney. At the end of the day, the song lives on, and other people, you know, it enters into the culture, and only a great song can do that. You know, musicianship brings a song to life, but the song, a great song, lives beyond any one performance or performer. And those are great songs. And hats off to Glenn Frey and Don Henley. R.I.P. Glenn Frey. But and I think Randy Meisner, I mean, wrote "Take It to the Limit," so it wasn't like they, but they were the predominant songwriting force. And to the extent they took over the band and, you know, turned everybody else into hired hands. You know, even Joe Walsh, I guess, is somewhat of a hired hand, and he's no slouch songwriter. I mean, he wrote "Help Me Through the Night" and, of course, "Rocky Mountain Way." But then again, you got "The Last Resort" and songs like that. That's art. That's art. That's classic North American 20th century culture at its best and finest. And thank God for the Eagles. They were terrific. And they still are. I hope that when this coronavirus comes around, you know, their tickets are so expensive now. I mean, we could go on and on about all that, but what an awesome band. Top 10 Eagles songs. You take care.